So, gentlemen, Ravi, Nas, game on.
Game on, and another brilliant test match. It really is. I was on there with Stuart at the end and he said something and then he put his mic down and he turned to me and went, I love Test cricket. And we did the World Test Championship final. 4 days there at Lord's was just magnificent Test match cricket. And on the back of that, these 3 days, I think this series is going to be like that. It's going to go one way, then t'other. There'll be weaknesses in both sides and real strengths. I mean, India, I feel, will actually feel a little bit disappointed because 471 should have been 550, a collapse of 7 for 41. And the England score should have been a lot less if they'd taken their chances and dismissed Harry Brook last night off the no ball. So that last little session there was vital for them, that they didn't let England back into the game even more.
Fluctuating all the way through.
It is, but I agree with Nas. I think India will be disappointed. England have pulled things back, massive. You know, and this game is now on an even keel because this pitch is still good. England will fancy their chances of chasing, so India know they've got to bat the day tomorrow. They've got to try and get past 300 and give England at least something to chase at and put them under pressure at the same time. But, you know, had they held their catches, they should have had a lead of 150 plus. You know, after getting that 471. They had their opportunities. It went to ground. England capitalised. And the tempo at which they scored means there's a lot of time left in this test match. And yet, the game is even after close to 1,000 runs being scored.
Last time India were here, we were waxing lyrical about the way Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul dealt with English conditions. We've seen another example of KL Rahul knowing exactly what his game is for these conditions. They were tough out there. It was dark, there was rain coming around.
I have huge admiration for KL and the way he bats. He is old school, he plays the ball late, he leaves the ball really well, but he doesn't go into his shell and just block it. You bowl him a bad ball, or front foot or back foot, he just puts it away. He's one of the best cover drivers I've seen in the game. He's a touch player in the game that's got so many power hitters in. He's just got a bit of touch and a bit of class. And the question really, Ravi, is not how good he is, why isn't he better, or his stats better, you know, averaging 33, 34. Every time you watch him bat, or we watch him bat in England, he just looks a better player than that.
Yeah, he's an enigma, you know, and even he will admit himself, you know, he should be averaging well into the mid-40s, 50s. He's got that kind of talent. But I think the time has come now where he understands his game. He's made a few technical adjustments, where he's opened up a bit, you know, which allows his bat to come through. He used to be out leg before to deliveries that came in. If you see now, he allows the ball to come into the bat. He covers the swing nicely, always been a fluent driver. And he's got the defense to, you know, counter challenging conditions. And especially situations in the game where the ball is swinging or seaming, he's got the technique. So he becomes now the key man for India. If you're talking of batting 3 sessions, that man has to be there for 3 hours, at least. You know, if India has to then reach that score where England are chasing 300 plus.
Take us to the 2 wickets that India have lost in their second innings. What did you make of the dismissals?
I thought Jaiswal got a very good one. If you look at the angle from where it came and then it bounced, you know, very little he could do. He had to play at it. And it took the outside edge. Not much he could have done. And, you know, later on the other left-hander. But, you know, having said that, Sai Sudarshan came next ball, played a similar ball in a different manner and played it well. You know, he could see very little. You have to play it, you know, such deliveries.
And this one?
Unlucky, you know, and but you give it to Stokes. Stokes is always plotting, planning, targeting the stumps. You know, just the fact that he had that man in catching position means if you go and ask Stokes, he's saying, you know, I believe I've set it up and I've got him out. You know, there are certain players who read the game differently. You know, they have an instinct of knowing what can happen. And that's why when he is bowling, you'll always find that he's not going through the motions. He's one of those guys who's always thinking, how can I get my wicket? Where is the next wicket coming from? I have to get it in the spell of mine. What am I going to go to try and do it? Even if it means I have to go against the grain. It means set different fields, set unusual fields, go against the plan, and then make the batsman think. And he's done it exactly that.
The word Ravi used there was instinct, and that's the thing I get with Stokes as a captain all the time. He has a real gut feel for something. The ball before, he had a leg slip because he'd been getting out, or had got out first innings down the leg side. Literally moved him to short mid-wicket, clipped to short mid-wicket. He has a real gut feel for the game. Some captains rely heavily on analysts, preset plans before the game, grids, where do we bowl. Other captains just have a feel for the game. Some are brilliant, and Morgan had both in white ball cricket. He'd get the analyst and then he would tinker himself. I think Stokes has a real gut feel and instinct for the game.
I'm just going to go back to you on the side dismissal, though, because I take all of your points, both of your points. All batsmen feel they could do something different when the dismissal happens. Both times he's been dismissed in this test, the head is a little heavy. Yeah. So they're obviously looking for him to be working in that way.
Yeah, he'll be looking in that and he'll say, I need to be a little more upright. I don't need to fall over. I have to have a steady head, which would mean I would play a lot straighter instead of looking to work the ball on the onside. Here, it seems as if the position he's got into, he has no choice but to play that shot. But if he's a lot straighter with his head a little on top of the stumps, the bat will come down straighter and he'll hit it straighter. Sometimes you have to watch it yourself, to make that adjustment, and he will have to make that adjustment because England will keep, bowling in that area all the time now.
For a while, we thought that the Edgbaston, that's next test, Headingley faithful were going to be treated to 100 from one of their own. Harry Brook fell 1 run short. He had his luck. He was caught off a no ball late last evening. He was dropped a couple of times. But some of the shots he played in that innings of 99 were extraordinary.
Unbelievable. And his stats are remarkable. I asked Benedict, what's the average now? It's 59.5 or something. The anomaly is he's only got 100 at home. He's got 700s away from home. And he would have been desperate to get one on his home ground. Ravi was building it up perfectly on commentary. Brought up, you did that lovely feature with him up the road at his cricket club. He is a local lad. He could not be more Yorkshire than Harry Brook. He doesn't celebrate half centuries. He doesn't over-celebrate hundreds. He just played beautifully, got his tempo right. He had a bit of luck, and he has got a slight issue with the short ball. Last night, the no ball was a short ball, and he was caught at mid-wicket. He has been out hooking against Australia. His first test innings at the Oval, Jansen bowled him a short ball and he hit it to Rabada in the deep. Australia will be watching on. I know we're not allowed to mention what's coming, the A word, but not only Australia, if you get out like that in the first innings of a series, you're going to get more than that. It's that risk-reward because he gets a lot of runs with that shot. It's just maybe because he was on 99, he thought I'd keep it down. He's probably walking off thinking, why don't I do what I usually do, and gone up and over. So it's just something he's got to think. I get a lot of runs, but it also gets me out. What am I going to do about that?
What do you see when you see Harry Brook?
I think there's a touch of class there. There's no question about that. I had his figures ready. It would have been 900s in 25 test matches. For someone 25 years of age, it's no joke. That's less than every 3 test matches he's already getting hundreds. Nasser mentioned 100 in England. He's got 8 outside, 7 outside, 7 in 10 tests, or 10 or 11 innings outside, which is incredible. And the way he's going about his job, some of the shots he played today, he can be destructive. There will be a few, technical issues, but the more the exposure you get, the more you're challenged in those areas, the better you'll get. I think he's the kind of player who will get better because he's got the wherewithal and the all-round game to counter that.